Hello everyone, now you will hear a brief retelling of the movie You Are My Treasure of enjoyable viewing. Manager Jik is angry because one of the artists is late again, and the others have lit cigarettes right in his car. A few more minutes passed, and the man was called by the police as a cheater, slipped and killed right in his outfit. For performances, he was asked to hand over personal belongings to the family of the deceased, although she only has a 7-year-old daughter among her relatives. Her phone only has incoming calls from the boss who was like a piece of shit Jishchik. He is indignant that the housing did not return his debt before he died. He came to the actress's house inside dirty, and things scattered everywhere. Suddenly, a little girl came out of the toilet, who moves holding onto the wall. She did not react to the guest, but simply took one of the packaged buns and sadly climbed under the table to eat it. Jeshik calls the child a petty asshole because she didn't even say hello to him. He scours the room to find money, or at least Yukra. Jishchit tensed that the girl was not reacting to him in any way, and even checked to see if Lem was reflected in the mirror just in case. The man called Jion's ex-civil husband to tell him that something was wrong with the child, but he immediately hung up. The girl took a bottle of water from the refrigerator, Ajay Shield, thinking about it, lit a cigarette smoke. The little girl came to life and began to persistently clap her hands on the floor, calling her mother to her. When Zhishchik approached, she immediately hugged him, but realizing that it was not her mother, and tried to run away. Suddenly the landlady of the apartment began to knock persistently at the door, and then burst inside. She mistook Jeshik for the girl's father, and is indignant that he immediately abandoned Seven after learning that she was unwell. Prahindia learns that the lease term of the apartment is ending, and the security deposit is as much as 70 million won. That is, if he pretends to be his father, he will soon get this money into his hands. Jishit does so, and immediately finds the lease agreement. Jessica himself was left without. He lost all his money and got into debt when he trusted a friend and made a bad investment. All he had to do was go back to the apartment with little Inhe. She hoped again that her mother had returned, but all she could find was a man's shoes. The girl under the table opened another Jishchik bun, still not understanding what the matter, was trying to scream until NH. He needs to find contact with her, because the swindler needs a month to pretend to be her father. So he is interested in his employees. How would like a 7-year-old child, but does not receive sensible advice. Zhishchik decided to interrupt In's bond diet, and believes she will eat noodles. She crawled out from under the table, felt for a plate, grabbed the macaroni, sniffed it for a very long time, but returned it to its place, and took another bag of rolls. Zhishchik decided that they needed to get rid of them. After a while, Inhe thought for a second that her mother was back and smiling, and then she started groping for buns, but they weren't there. This frightened her, and the girl screamed a plate of noodles. She fell to the floor and kept screaming, hidden under the table. What can I do? I had to go to the store and buy a new mountain of buns, but they don't smell as tempting as noodles with sauce ordered from a restaurant. The girl came up and reached into the plate with both hands. Immediately the taste of normal food delighted her. Nojik will have to choke on a bun slopa. The entire plate stained the furniture, and then found foam for shaving her new neighbor in the bathroom. Soon the entire bathroom and Samainhei at G's work were in the foam. Had to stand up for his girls, which got him punched in the face. The hostess suddenly announced that a realtor would come today to inspect the apartment. Jessica tried to quickly bring the girl in order, but the child does not understand what they want from him, so he runs away and bites. Zishchi himself ran away, because he had previously typed that he had left the city, but there was a phone at home, so he had to return. The hostess and 2 of her assistants began to wash the apartment. The woman is outraged by the appearance of the crotch, and they demand from the Jishchik that he redeems his daughter. The man again tries to reach NH and only now learns from the bumping women that the girl does not see or hear. They watch closely how Jeshik will interact with his pseudo-daughter. He was able to lure the girl out from under the table by giving things to her mother, whom she immediately recognized by smell. One of the women suspected that this guy might be pretending to be Yinghe's father to lure out money. It's not enough to kill a bastard like that. Then Inhe screamed at the top of her voice. The hostess burst into the bathroom and pushed her away, not for her father's sake, but ordered her to watch and study how to bathe a child at night during a thunderstorm. The girl, a little doubtful, lay down next to the man, and she cried bitterly. Suddenly she vomited. She was all on fire in the middle of the night. The tortured Jishik went to the hospital. Mommy's sweater already stinks, but he doesn't want to give it to anyone and bites him again. His son came to classes for visually impaired children, but during classes the child constantly screams and ruins everything around him. Later, the teacher informs the man that their center does not have a separate program for the deafblind, but a girl can attend classes for the deaf and blind separately. But what if she can't see sign language and can't hear the teacher? There is no answer to this question. On the street, in front of the pedestrian crossing, Yinhe took the man's finger and smiled. Jishchik bought a set of plastic letters to teach the baby to write first. He lets her feel the simplest letters of the same letters. He writes with his finger on her palm and gives the task to find them in the general pile more than once. Nuni found the right bagel. She was rewarded with a piece of dough. Now you need to combine these two letters into a syllable. Every time he slaps her on the cheek so that she understands that she did the right thing. Today's task is to learn the word dad. The girl herself doesn't know that. Salobred grabbed 2 buns and ran with them to the balcony. She clearly loves the buns more than her dad. Suddenly the doorbell rang. They came here, and to write the property of the deceased, a sticker is pasted on each thing with a deposit of 70 million. They will, by the way, take it too. The fact is that the girl is left with a serious debt, which will cover at the expense of her property. One of the employees found another agent, and then the director cancelled the upcoming order. Inhead searched for the letters for a long time, and then waited for her new dad to continue the lesson. But the upset ginseng passed her and immediately went to bed. The girl tries to find him with her hands, but he is nowhere to be found. Jessica finished the news that the director took away his entire business due to debts. In front of his subordinates, he calls our hero a complete failure. In the evening, he watches as his competitor pesters the employee's permanence and beats him for it. But the girl herself preferred to stay with the bastard. At night, I received an SMS from the bank that Jik's credit card was due. Ivan had only a couple of bills left in his wallet, then 3 from the housing phone. The man saw the correspondence of the aunt of the deceased who owed her 30 million won. She lives in the countryside, and taking the child with her, Joshchik went in search of the debtor. He printed out a photo of the woman and is actively interviewing locals. Returning to the car, he found that Inhe had fled somewhere. But soon the elderly couple called him. Joyfully, Inhe sits next to them and strokes the puppy. The kind-hearted people fed the city and even Pri. And spend the night. But Jeep will have to work hard in return. He had never been so tired before, but as a reward, he also received eggs and potatoes. While Jig was talking to one of the actresses, Inhe crushed and learned about the taste of boiled potatoes. Chewing a little, she pushes it into the man's mouth, but he did not appreciate such a generous gesture. The next day their journey continued. Inhe asks for a drink, but there are no shops nearby, so Jig steals a watermelon, ruining a few more along the way. Privalo camcorder in seeds spit right in the face of their folder. At the same time, the girl is learning to spell the word watermelon. When our heroes were resting by the river, the owner of the garden came up and read the Varishek. She has everything recorded, and if Jichik doesn't want any trouble, then he has to work out the damage on the farm. He once again spent the day with local pensioners. Inhe demands to go out for a walk, Nojik refuses to rain outside. However, the man still agreed, and now runs after the blind deaf virgin, with a huge umbrella, and he rejoices in the raindrops, and the opportunity to mess around in the mud. In the car, they made sausages out of clay. The village elder took in a couple at his place that night. Inhe again wanted to feed Zhishchik like a chick. The starasta concludes that the man really likes the girl. His mother had dementia and spit out something delicious. When I wanted to feed it to someone I loved very much. In the end, it turned out that the woman in the photo was not Ji-yeon's aunt, but a fraudster who gave herself away. For a farmer, Ji returned to old age and asked his daughter if there is work on the farm and how much they pay for it. Although the salary is low, there is always work. They will also be able to stay in a guest house. The children brought Ni to pet the chickens. The girl smiles broadly and learns to write the word chicken. She spends all her time outdoors and exploring the world around her. Jeschik looks happy, and they came to the cafe together with the elder's daughter. The woman gave Inhe a sewn watermelon, which really pleased the girl who knows the world by touch. But the joyful life ended when Jack found him. The former director took him away and beat him. He also threatens his new girlfriend, and child Jitsek still owes a lot of money until the car is taken away from him. valuing it at 2 million, and within a week he must return the rest before his starosta took him somewhere in Hay. But it turned out that there was nothing to worry about. They were just walking. Yicek knows where the starosta keeps it. But he didn't touch them. At night the girl felt bruises near her folder, and now blows on them. The shopkeeper's tears came out, and he immediately taught Inhi this word. The next morning in the guest house, they were no longer there from the station. The shopkeeper called the girl's father again, and finished talking with about a meeting, but he wanted to buy one off, and even knelt down to get away from him. The scoundrel chased his daughter and handed her a toy, but the child pulled away from him. Jishchik took the train to the seacoast where... Or the ashes of Jiyon, a joyful girl running on the sand and having fun with her dad at night at the hotel. Joyke remembered a former employee, and the next day they arrived at the social center. Jishchik came up to Inhe to say goodbye to you here. It will be better than with me. The man watched a little longer as the girl weaves her favorite bun and left. NH soon became anxious when she could not find the person closest to her. She dropped the toy, walked along the wall, and leaned against the door. Inhai bangs on the glass and screams, hoping Dad will come back to her. Jishchik could not bear her tears. I hugged the child. The horse girl calmed down and wrote the words "tear" on the man's palm. Ini slaps her hand on the head. She asks to. The shield showed how to spell her name, then she patted Jik on the shoulder and wrote the word Dad on his palm. In South Korea, there are between 5 and 10,000 casts of deaf people. The filmmakers hope that the tape will promote the introduction of laws that can help such people.